Right, so after spending hours welding this yesterday, I put it on the bike and it snapped off. So that's the foot peg. But what I can see, if you're looking closely, you can see there it's kind of bright silver. It's a bit duller now because that's where I had it. It's been sitting out all day, so it's corroded. But there at the top, where the main foot peg is, that's a kind of dirty, blacky colour. And what it turns out is I've not really got any good penetration into the actual foot peg. This is kind of stuck on, you can see there, it's attached to it, but it's stuck on the edge. And the same thing's happened with the top piece. Now when I'd welded that, it was kind of smooth, and as I've cut down to reinstate these grooves so it looks kind of realistic, all I've done is scrape off or file off all that aluminium that was on top. So of course, as soon as I've stood on it rather, it's bent down that way. The whole top is not attached to anything, only the bottom piece, and that's just kind of bent and snapped off then. So what I'm going to try and do is clean it up a little bit, re-weld it, and I've got a better idea of the power. I need to have it higher ampage to try and get some better penetration down into this area, and then hopefully that will melt and fuse with obviously with the end piece, and then hopefully then it will be strong. Anyway, that's the plan. Now, for those of you who are professional welders, you may tell me what I'm doing is wrong, but I've cleaned this up as best as I can. I've watched a lot of programs on YouTube about how to weld aluminium, steel, whatever it is. Oh. Now, unfortunately, they all teach you how to weld 2 flat bits of metal lying on a workbench. None of them teach you how to weld odd shaped things in the real world. Now, I know with mild steel you can use magnets to hold things together, but with aluminium that doesn't work. And I spent so much time trying different kinds of brace to tie these two together, strapping them, splinting it across here, trying to get them to stay together. I mean, it was just an absolute nightmare. So I probably should clean this up better. And you can see I was quite pleased with this when it went yesterday. It was looking pretty good. But this stays together. I can push that, this stays together. So with a fairly simple bit of wire tying the two together, I can start that weld. So that's what I'm going to do. Because if I clean that up anymore, they won't engage properly, and that won't stay, and I'm going to end up tacking and doing this little bit and that little bit forever again. So if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but that's what I'm doing. Right, here we go. That's wired up. It's pretty firm. Okay, that's it wired up. It's kind of still. It's not perfect. And I'm not bad-mouthing the guys that teach the welding. I mean, at the end of the day, they've taught me how to weld. But it's just Very frustrating not to be able to know how to do this side of it, which, you know, is just the most difficult bit. The welding bit has gone quite well, just being able to hold bits together. Anyway, right, here it goes. Right, that didn't go quite to plan. I've got some pretty heavy power in there, but let's cut these off and then try and weld the other side. Like that. What do you reckon? Having a workbench would help a lot here. That's too vertical. Gonna go like that, I think. I'm not touching this because I think it's probably still really, really hot. Yeah, I suppose having a workbench would help instead of welding on a stool on the floor. But that's all the space I got. Right. Part 2. Not yet part 2, because I've got to clean the tungsten. And this is a problem I've got. I mean, I know I poked it because I wobbled, but it attracts the aluminium like crazy. I don't know why. Anyway, clean that off. Well, that was just too contaminated. I ended up having to cut the end off. So, here we go. Right, I've also got possibly no gas left, so let's see how this goes. this concave hole here is just impossible to get the rod into without it melting. Got heat there. As I put the rod in, there's such a, what's it there? Right. Right. Well, that's it. It's welded all the way around. I put a lot of heat in the top when I was doing that, so hopefully that's penetrated through. I'm going to clean it up. Actually, I'm going to step on it first, see if it holds, then I'll clean it up. We'll see. Right. Well, I put it on the bike and stood on it, and it didn't snap. So I've cleaned it up a bit. I haven't cleaned it up quite as much as I did last time, but it still looks pretty good. It's not as well aligned as it was the first time, but what can you do? Anyway, I'm going to put it on and stand on it again. And there you have it. It stayed on. Right. So, if anyone's got any tips on how to attach things together, I'd very much like to hear them. Thank you to Mr. Tig for teaching me how to weld. But I might send you a message to get you to tell me how to hold things together in the real world.